And I do believe we are live right now.
Hey.
Welcome, guys. This is Rebel Rock, a weekly show of punk rock and roll, and just a good time hanging out. This week, we have obviously Nick Grandchamp in the middle here. And we also have our guest, Andy from the Drowns.
Yeah.
What's up?
And this is exciting because obviously, Andy, we've talked online a little bit, and I'm very familiar with the band, and I've been kind of following you guys for the last few years with all these great singles that you've released.
Thank you.
And the thing I realized was I didn't really know a whole lot about you or the band other than your drummer, which we'll get to a little bit later. I do know a little bit about him, but the other guys, no clue. So I guess to start it off right away is how did you guys all meet and come together?
So the way that this band came together is me and Rev were both in a band called Success that was touring. They were around for 12 years or so, and they were doing really well. But a couple of the guys in the band had kids and had serious jobs, and so they had to kind of take it easy on touring for a bit. And me and Rev just wanted to stay on the road. So we basically just decided to do something else to keep us going while Success was on hiatus. And once we started writing, like it instantly clicked with us, and we were just like, let's just do this for as long as we can. And then Jake came into it a little bit later. I think we had maybe played one or two shows with the local drummer, and he had been touring with Everclear and was kind of over it. And so he was like, man, can we just do a band together? And we're like, we're already on it, man. We've already got a bunch of songs written. Let's do this thing. So he drove from LA out to Seattle, and we kind of rehearsed for 3 days and then did our first tour. Halfway through that, we stopped at our buddy's studio. His name's Pat Hills. He's in a band called Bastards of Young, but he's done some really cool producing as well. And we just stopped in there, recorded 6 songs, I think, and then kept on with the tour. And yeah, we've just kept rolling since then. We went back, did the other half of that first record, got that through a couple of friends of ours helped us put it out. We did it basically as a 3-way split in the US with Bipolar Records and our buddy Mike from the Smoking Popes. He was also in Alkaline Trio for the From Here to Infirmary record, but he was doing this thing called Live from the Rock Room and wanted to get into putting vinyl out. And so we were like, hey man, let's hook up. So he helped us. Damon from Bipolar helped us. We put it out in the US on our own, and then Gunner Records put it out in Europe. Yeah, and then we've just kept rolling. We actually met Gowdy from Pirates Press on that first tour and immediately wanted to work with them, but they were pretty stacked at the time, so we kept going. And then as soon as the opportunity came up, we threw a couple songs at them, put out the Sound 7-inch, and we've been with them since then.
Now, what was that first tour? Were you supporting someone,
Nope.
or is it just you guys were out there just doing it to play in front of anyone that would pay attention?
Yeah, we just self-booked it. We were going out to Awesome Fest in San Diego. Some buddies of ours put that on, so we went out and did that and just toured our way out and our way back. We pretty much self-booked for a while until after our second tour. Then we picked up a booking agent, but yeah, it's been fun.
Now,
It's been a good ride.
you said that the first band that you and Rev were part of was Success.
It's the first band we were in together. Yeah.
What was that band all about?
So Success was kind of like sort of like a skate pop punk band. They were on Red Scare, so they were going strong for a long time before I hooked up with them. I was only in it for maybe 3 years playing keys. Their original key player switched over to guitar, and so I jumped in and just started going. I only got to do a couple of tours with them before it kind of wound down, but yeah, and then it spun off into Drowns.
Interesting. All right, so you go from this more pop punk stuff, and then you seems like you shift over into more of a street rock stuff. What was the influence that happened that was just like, this makes sense to do it?
It was fairly organic. I think, I mean, that first record, you can still hear there's a lot of like sort of poppier elements to that, to View from the Bottom. But while we were touring in the van, we were showing each other stuff, and we were all big fans of like One Man Army and Swingin' Utters and Coxbar, and listen to a lot of like old street punk, Oxymoron and Sham 69 and stuff in the van. And as we were all just listening to this stuff, we're like, fuck, why aren't we just doing this stuff? So we kind of started gearing in that direction, and now we're kind of moving even farther into other areas of rock and roll. But
Well, I mean, I think that's important. I mean, when I hear like some of the like View from the Bottom, to me reminds me a lot of the Jam,
sure, absolutely, yeah.
especially the stuff that I don't know. Are you writing the tracks that you're singing lead on? Is that how it works with you guys?
Yeah. On both of those first two records, if I'm singing, I wrote it. If Rev's singing, he wrote it. And then this new batch of songs, we started trying to write with each other in mind. So there's a little bit more back and forth interplay. So
Yeah, because your stuff obviously it's more on the melodic side for sure.
yeah. Rev has that really rough sort of gravel throat.
Yeah, which works out. I mean, and especially
Absolutely.
when you guys come together and do any harmony stuff, it sounds great. Really,
Yeah, like the
complements well.
contrast is really cool.
Yeah, I love it, man. I've never really had that before where I was in a band with multiple singers, so it's been fun, especially learning
Yeah,
to
no,
play around each
it's
other.
a huge weapon, especially with you guys, because it's like, all right, if you can do both and you can write songs, you can play, and you can sing, that's
Yeah,
hard to find.
and I mean, like being on stage singing for an hour straight is hell. So like, if you can get somebody else to do half of that,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
True.
no, exactly. So that the View from the Bottom came out in 2018,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
it'd be 2 years later before we'd see Under Tension.
Mhm. Yeah, so we toured, we did a couple of runs across the US for View from the Bottom, and then immediately went home and recorded the songs for the Sound 7-inch. We put that out in between, and then went in pretty much as soon as we were done touring to do Under Tension, and then right back on the road. It's kind of been the way this band has been going all over, so just keep running.
Now, do you find it hard to juggle the home life with work and everything else on top of the touring?
No, I mean, I've been lucky enough to find a lot of jobs. I generally in the interview process let them know, like, I'm going to be gone for months out of the year. It's just going to happen. So if that's not okay, then don't hire me. But um, it's always, for the last 20 years, been a priority. So luckily, I've had a lot of people that have been supportive of that. So
It's best to be up front and honest on that too, because I find that sometimes they're understanding when you're just like, hey, this is what I do. And yeah, it's good.
yeah, I mean, it limits what kind of jobs you can do, but it works out.
That is true. So your drummer Jake is from California, correct?
He is, yeah.
So every time you guys get together to rehearse, record, do anything, he's flying up there. Is that how it goes up to Seattle?
Either flying or driving. Yeah, I mean, we don't get to rehearse really at all. We basically, if we have a recording, he shows up a week before and we hammer it out. If we have a tour, he comes a week before, we hammer it out, and then just go. Luckily, I mean, he's pro.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's extremely pro. Like it's almost like a robot. He's programmed to know what to do, when to do it.
yeah.
Like the guy doesn't mess up.
No, he's a human metronome. It's insane.
And I've noticed too, like, when you get to our age, you can do bands like that easier because everyone, is seasoned enough where hopefully you can take the ball and run pretty easily compared to maybe, just getting into playing bands, so that's a good thing as well.
Absolutely. And I mean, knowing that we were going to tour a bunch kind of weeds out anybody that isn't able to do that.
Right.
So
I think about it now currently. All right. So River City Rebels, are back together. Obviously everything's slowed down because of the COVID stuff, but
Right.
like even like the thought of us trying to go out and go on tour right now, I don't even think that's possible because of work and life and everything else. So I mean, you guys have lucked out where it's like you set up everything around your life was based on making sure to be able to get out and tour.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Rev was bartending for years so that he could do that. He had it worked out with the guy that owned his bar so that he could just go when he had to go. The guy also was renting him his apartment, so it was all very interwoven. And then I was working at a cafe for 8 years that just let me go whenever. And now, luckily, the guy that I started doing construction for also is a drummer, and so he knows the life and is totally
Perfect.
fine with that. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. And I think Jake's actually going to be moving out here in a month or two, so we'll be able to actually do this properly and rehearse. And
Oh wow, that's some big news right there.
Yeah. He just bought a house like a month ago, and Rev's renovating it for him, and then we're gonna be good to go, man.
Nice. That's great.
So the next step is all you guys just move into a house together, right?
I mean, we've joked about it, but I don't think the wives would be too stoked on it.
Yeah, that's on a whole nother level right there. You start living together.
Oh yeah, I've been there. Actually, it was funny. I was thinking about it today. We actually have a connection in that way. Back in 2006, 2007, when the Rebels were in Washington, I was actually living with two members of your band. So Tyler Murphy and Tasker both lived in my punk house.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah. Me and Murph actually started a band after he left the road with you guys called Church for Sinners. That was my first band in Washington.
Oh, okay. All right. So some connection there.
Yeah.
No shit.
That's a cool name too. I like that.
Oh, thanks.
Speaking of Murph, have you heard from him?
Not in a couple of years. We did a Sinners reunion in 2015 and briefly started working on new like rock and roll stuff. But I mean, he's got a kid and he's busy with construction stuff. So.
All right. So he's still alive though.
As far as I know, yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's the big question. I just hadn't heard from him.
Yeah, I think he's settled down a bit.
Now, speaking of Seattle, all right. So the brand of punk rock you guys play, obviously, right now, it is not really in vogue.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it ever really was. It's always been kind of an underground thing.
I mean, it was enough in vogue at least in the early 2000s, where you could go to each town, and there's a good chance you could find a band that would have some common ties there.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there was definitely some stuff going on. I mean, in the 2000s, there was a little bit of everything going on. It was just a lot more lively. Now it's.
Do you see it when you guys are out touring now? Do you guys feel like it's one of those things where you're pretty much on your own out there blazing it?
I mean, as far as that sort of specific sound, I mean, there's definitely bands out there. Pirates Press is loaded with those bands, which is part of why we wanted to sign with them. So, I mean, it's out there for sure. We don't really run into too much of it on the road, but I think that's mostly just because we've done primarily headlining stuff. We haven't done a ton of support tours. We did one on the West Coast. We did a run with Sloppy Seconds, and the East Coast with No Fun at All from Sweden. But other than that, we've pretty much done it ourselves.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, to support, there's only a handful of bands that would really make sense to support anyways.
Yeah, well, it sucks because we were just about to do a full US and Canada with Booze and Glory when the pandemic hit.
Oh.
And that would have been perfect.
Yeah, I know. This really screwed a lot of bands and even our plans of going in the studio. But the hope is that when this comes back, it's going to be that much better.
Yeah, that's the theory everyone's working on.
Yeah. I was out in Seattle, I think in 2017 with one of my old bands. And I think we played, is it the place called Victory Lounge? Or it's, yeah, we played there. Got to know those dudes in Dead Bars. They're a Seattle band. Yeah, they're really cool. I kept in touch with them. And they just put out that live record. It's pretty cool too. And I thought of you guys too when I was listening to them, because I was telling Dan real quick before, my friend is actually a fan of you guys. His name's Terminator. We've always called him. He's a childhood friend. Okay. And he's from Germany. This is funny. But he gave me your guys' CD. And then when Dan was telling me, I'm like, oh my God, wow, it's crazy. This was about a year ago or so.
Oh, rad. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be the third time that we've tried to get to Germany now. And every time it's gotten canceled. But apparently we're doing okay over there. I think
Germany,
it probably has...
I'll tell you, Germany, for the style of music you guys are playing, I mean, you're gonna kill it. It's they're so open-minded over there and supportive of that movement of music. It's like everything's 10 years, 15 years behind over there, and they don't care.
Oh, and they have so many great bands too.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone plays really well over there, and the people are just really nice, and they take care of you. They feed you. They put you up. It's insane. It's night and day. We had the best time over there.
Yeah, we're really excited to get over to Europe. We're in the process of trying to get it sorted out right now for next year. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I know Dead Bars had their Germany shows canceled right before this happened. They were like literally gonna go like weeks before this happened. So
yeah,
too many stories like that. Ugh.
Yeah, I was chatting with John right after the pandemic started, because we both were just like, well, shit, what do we do now? So we both just started buying recording equipment for home to try and at least demo while we're stuck at home.
Right.
But
yeah, to keep some sort of momentum going.
Yeah. Well, it worked out, man. I mean, that's how we ended up writing this whole new batch of Drown stuff, is just sending files back and forth between us. And
well, we're going to get into that in a little bit, but I think what we're going to also talk about, we'll break it up a little bit right now, is so seeing live punk bands play. It's a game changer. You know, if you ever see something live like that, it changed your whole perspective on music and what it can be. And I thought this week we would just talk about maybe 3 or 4 of our favorite live acts that we've ever seen that really just changed everything.
Cool.
For us. Nick, if you want to start this discussion.
Oh wow, give me the honor to start. Yeah, so I have my list. Right off the bat, a band that I've always loved. One of the first group of CDs I got when my friend got me into punk was Bad Religion, Warped Tour. I can't give you the year. It was very early on in my punk journey, so early 2000s. So I want to. It's probably before Empire came out, before that. So they were playing, you know, a lot of the 90s stuff. But just seeing that band live, 3 guitar players, and I'm a huge Brian Baker fan, and I was just like, it was so full and loud, and I mean, super melodic too, which I loved at the time. And I just remember that it was my first, I think I only went to like maybe 3 or 4 Warped Tours, but it was my first one. And I was like, yeah, Bad Religion.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Andy, you got one first up?
Fuck, I got a bunch, man. It was hard to get a small list going, you know.
Yeah.
Being out on the road so much, you get to see so many rad bands. I tried to keep it to like punk rock bands, but I mean, otherwise I'd have to talk about a bunch of metal, because metal guys just do it so well. They always go crazy on the setups. Iron Maiden, fucking King Diamond, like, oh, incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was like, all right, it's a punk rock band.
Yeah,
because if that was the case, it would open it wide open.
Yeah,
it'd be real tough.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I guess probably starting out, the band that is the reason that I play live music today 100% is AFI. I saw AFI on the Art of Drowning tour with the Explosion, and it fucking blew my mind. They still had like the full leather get-ups and the pumpkins on the amps, and fucking Davey was doing spin kicks on stage. Just insane. And watching Hunter play bass while running in circles and jumping all over the place was like, he is a god. I have to do this. It was also one of the first shows I ever saw where I just went by myself, sat in the back of the room and just watched and let it all wash over me. And it just blew my mind, man.
All right, so I guess I'm going to cross that one off my list because that was also on my list.
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah, I remember seeing them Warped Tour 2003, I do believe, and just taking it in Milwaukee and just watching them destroy the fucking room to the point where it just like chills. It was so electrifying. And
Absolutely.
everything you described was exactly what I felt. And I was like, this right here is the best live band in the world right now, and I'm witnessing it.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So since I had to cross that off my list, I saw Fishbone back in I
Nice.
think 97 or 98, and
Wow.
in a little club Toast up in Burlington, Vermont,
Burlington,
on a
yeah.
Tuesday night, and there must have been 50 people in the room. There wasn't many, and I was right there, front and center, and taking in Fishbone with Angelo just destroying the stage as a front man. And you know, the rest of the band is wonderful too. But Angelo, like, and I saw him a couple of years ago, 2 years, 3 years ago. He's still doing the fucking full splits, kicks. Like, the guy does not age. He's timeless. And those live shows are so much fun.
Gee.
I bet, man.
Yeah, that's cool. That is really cool. Fishbone, yeah.
And one second, if anyone in the comments right now wants to list some of their favorite bands, punk bands to see live, please do, and we'll read it off. But until then, Nick, continue.
All right. Well, I have to go. This was a hard one too. Let's say the Boss Tones. I got to see them again. Warped Tour, same thing. Early on, I could have been at that same one. Honestly, I'm not quite sure. And we're talking the same realm as you saw AFI's early 2000s, because it was right before, it was like 99, 2000 when I got into punk. So it was in that realm a couple of years after. And the Boss Tones, they come on stage, they look the part. They have a mix of everything, ska, punk. They have like hardcore songs. And just seeing them is just like, fuck. There it is. It's just so, yeah. It's a hard choice, but yeah.
No, I mean, that's another great one. I saw them early on too in the late 90s, and mine was just blown. It was a huge game changer on my list. But before we get there, Andy, your next one.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, ska is a whole other beast. That's another one where the bands are just ridiculous with what they do on stage. I didn't even go into that realm. We actually played Back to the Beach a couple years ago, and it was pretty much all ska and then us, but it was amazing, man. Those bands give it.
Yeah, they do.
So I've got a few backups here. I'm not sure which ones I'm going to do for sure, but another one that's like absolutely top of my list. I've seen them probably 4 or 5 times in the last few years, and they get better every time, is The Damned. Absolutely my favorite band of all time. And Dave Vanian is the singer. Like, he's the front man. You can't get better than Dave. And then you got Captain, is incredible. That guy is ridiculous, man. And they're just so much fun live. Every album is great. There's bangers everywhere. Their sets are incredible. Yeah, The Damned is just fantastic.
Well, just I watched old footage of The Damned from the late 70s, and you're just like, man, what have it been to be at some of those shows in their heyday prime? Because they're still great now, but back then, goddamn, they were just destroying shit.
Yeah, I would argue they're better now. Like,
really?
They were sloppy drunk then. Now they're
I'm kind of all right with that, just because it was a spectacle to see.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's that for sure. But they're just so seasoned now. They just nail it.
I saw him years ago when the Briefs opened up for him. I went out to see the Briefs, and then that's how I saw The Damned the first time. Yeah.
It's weird how that works. The last time I saw The Damned in Seattle, I think they were playing with Judah. Do you know that band at all?
I don't.
They're like an Italian bobber band.
Oh, I do actually. I do know that band. Yes.
Yeah, incredible. But yeah, half the crowd was there for Judah, and then just like happened to stay for the Damned. But I think Stevie was actually right next to me in the front row.
Yeah, I mean, there's another good dude from Seattle.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Next on my list is a band that I went and saw the Bosstones in the 90s at a club in Connecticut. Drove down. I was in high school, and this opening band played called the Amazing Royal Crowns,
Okay.
and rockabilly punk band. And these guys were so on point with their sound, the energy. I would probably see them 12 or 13 more times in the next like year and a half, 2 years. I would
Wow.
just follow them anywhere I could within reason, being in high school. And these live shows were just King Kendall on lead vocals. You had Jack Swinger on the upright bass. You had the Colonel playing the Gretsch hollow body, and Jack Swinger on the drums. And the whole package was there. They were so aggressive. The amps were pushed to 10. It was all authentic stuff. And the songwriting was good, because a lot of times I feel like with rockabilly music, especially nowadays, it's hard to write songs that kind of resonate because it's all a little bit tongue in cheek, a little bit kind of hokey in moments.
Sure. Yeah.
Where the Amazing Royal Crowns, I didn't feel any of that hokiness. It felt very true, and the energy, goddamn, it just chills, and still easily one of my favorite bands in the world.
Very cool, man. Yeah, that's one of those scenes. Like I played a lot of rockabilly shows with friends doing acoustic sets or whatever, and they're fun, man. There's some good stuff out there. One band I wish I had seen in that scene. Oh, if I could have seen the Kings of Nothing, I would have died happy. That band.
We used to always play with Kings of Nothing too.
Oh man, so good.
Yeah, they were good. They'd light the saxophone on fire and shit. The piano on fire. They didn't care. It was awesome.
That's awesome. Is it back to me?
I think so.
All right. So this one it's kind of more recent. 3 years ago, I finally got to see the Descendants play.
Nice.
And it was just one of those things that when I was young, they didn't come up to New England that much. You could see them in Boston a couple of times, but got to see them play at higher ground, and it was, just being a fan, it was great. And Bill Stevenson's one of the best drummers of all time, and he looks so easy for him. So yeah, up there. And maybe it's just because I was a fan for so long that I never got to see him play, that maybe it was just like that much more.
Yeah,
so I'd say Descendants, yeah.
They're definitely another one of those that just keeps getting stronger.
Yeah, it's super tight. And great. I'm a fan of All and Only Crime, like kind of that super group. I know, Dan.
I wouldn't go that far, Grand Champ. Come on.
Listen, the Only Crime record, that first one, I know people don't like West Virginia.
Next thing you'd be saying, like, Down by Law was good, and we know that.
All is great, though. All is fun.
Yeah, if they had a different singer, they'd be wonderful.
They did. They had multiple singers.
They had
they had the one singer that they needed.
Yeah. You can't beat Milo. Come on.
I know, that's the problem. There's a standard set there, and if it's not Milo, I just have a hard time giving a shit.
They were definitely more weird, though. They were way more like progressive and riffy, which some of that stuff was pretty crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy how wide their reach is.
You got any other bands?
I've got a few. Yeah, I'm just not sure which ones to go with, man. I don't know whether to base it on like how well they perform or how crazy their stage is. Like, okay. So one that I've definitely seen more than probably any other band is TSOL. They are so much fun live. They can be sloppy, but it's in that same kind of way we were talking about earlier, where you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're such wild cards every time. Jack is insane. So Yeah, and I mean they put out a ton of great records, man, and you can't argue with it.
Yeah, that's one of those bands. I've heard the records. It's weird. They're not one of those bands for me that was ever like a staple band that I just knew inside and out. Other than maybe a select 2 songs, 3 songs.
They're a hard band to get deep into because they change their sound so much.
Yeah,
Like
the first couple albums, and then didn't they totally change it up?
Yeah, so the first full length, you got that kind of like death rocky, the Dance With Me
Yep,
stuff,
which is
in
the
the
one I
early
know.
EPs. Yeah, that's the big classic. The next record, Beneath the Shadows, they kind of did the same thing, sort of that Bad Religion did, where they just were like, well, let's do something completely fucking different. We'll add a bunch of synthesizers and do like instrumental tracks, which nobody was expecting from TSOL. And I think that kind of tanked them a little bit, and they went through a few years where Jack left and they had another guy singing, and it pretty much sounded like the Doors at that point, like a little bit heavier Doors. But once Jack came back, they made more really cool kind of punk rock records. Once they signed to Nitro in like the early 2000s and did a couple of really good records, and then they've kind of gone into a weird direction since then, very like soulful and kind of more pop oriented.
Well, they lost their bass player, didn't they?
No, they lost their drummer.
They
Their
lost
drummer,
their drummer.
yeah, he died pretty early on.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, all right. That's another one I need to add to my list. Then I need to investigate some more. Let's go to the comments real quick. Burt Reynolds mustache saying you always got a kick out of Ben Carr dancing his ass off during Boston sets.
I mean, yeah, still to this day, amazing.
Yeah, no, it's true. Lincoln saying Mason Roll Crowns, awesome.
Lincoln.
Yep. Richard Brian Kahn. He's liking the Amazing Crowns as a name. Lincoln's also saying he loves the Descendants. I saw the guy at Guitar Center today had a Descendants tattoo.
Nice.
And a Dinosaur Jr. tattoo. So I was like, that made my day right there.
Oh man, we got Descendants played with the same day as us on Punk Rock Bowling a couple years ago. And they were like the headliner on the main stage or whatever. And our buddies in Sloppy Seconds, you guys know Sloppy Seconds, yeah? Yep. So they were at the next booth over, and Steve was walking around with this girl that he was with, and it was raining, crazy wind, everything's going wild. The lights are swaying on the stage, just crazy. And I guess Steve, I don't know if he probably won't care that I'm telling you this, but his girl tripped over a cable and took out the power to the stage. And people were losing it, man. And like nobody knew what was going on. They got it sorted out, and like sound came back on. They did their whole set or whatever. And he told me that after, as we were loading out, we were all just busting up fucking laughing.
That's great.
That's a great story.
We got another comment here that I thought this was a good one. Man or Astroman Live was amazing. Are you guys familiar with Man or Astroman?
Yeah, definitely.
Some space surf shit.
Mm-hmm.
Their live shows, they'd be all wearing fucking helmets with like shit coming out of it, like computers behind them, like full on. They fucking went all in on this gimmick.
What was that band that played with you, the Rebels, on Warped Tour? That was like super, like crazy.
Phenomenon.
Yes.
That was the equivalent of Man or Astroman.
Yep.
That's who they are. Yeah.
Another great
toilet paper guns and shit. Yeah.
Back in the day, Gamer says, in preparation for tonight, I went album shopping earlier. Well, we need to find out what albums he picked up, because last week he said he felt bad for not knowing enough punk rock stuff. So this is a good way to learn, because we're naming all kinds of bands right now that you really can't go wrong with any of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
And speaking of bands, why don't we get back to the Drowns, because you guys just recorded a brand new record, correct?
Yes, we recorded some songs. We're not sure how it's going to get released right now. We're still kind of figuring that out. It's being mixed right now, so we'll kind of see. It's hard to tell anymore. Like, so many bands are just releasing single after single after single and ditching the record thing, which kind of bums me out. Like, I love just having a vinyl record. There's something about having a 12-inch in your hands that's
Well, to be
special.
able to take that whole journey with a record, as opposed to a song or two, which is disposable, you kind of forget about it. You listen to it for a little bit, and it's like it's cool, but I want the whole thing because I want to be inside of it. I don't want to just
Yeah.
like dabble.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we all feel the same way. Like, bands take so much time, or at least we do, and I know a lot of other bands do, kind of figuring out the sequence and how everything is going to flow together and how the record is going to work, that it seems a shame to just listen to singles.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I feel the same way. And it's also hard because, physical media is dying too. So, like you said, unless you have that 12-inch, a lot of people aren't thinking about how to lay a record out, because it's like, oh, it streams, but it's like, it's not the same.
Well, the cool thing too is because we're on Pirates Press, we get some really cool perks out of that. Pirates Press, on top of being a label, is also a manufacturing company, and they have their own pressing plant. So we get they like to try out new things on their bands. So that's how we ended up getting some really cool, like, just weird little things. They did a 12-inch double single with like an etched back and like
that's cool.
clear vinyl, and like just super cool stuff. They did a CD printed so that you could play it on your record player.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's sick. I haven't heard that before. That's
Yeah,
really
well,
cool.
I'm really good friends with Zach Kaplan, who works at Pirates Press.
Killer.
So he's in the Ratchets. So he's always telling me about the fucking wacky shit that Pirates is attempting to try. I always love hearing about it.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. They're fantastic.
Now, so how many tracks did you guys record while you did it in California?
Yeah, we recorded at the same place with the same team that we did Under Tension. So we did 11 songs, I think, altogether, and we'll see how we end up putting it out. We haven't really decided if it's going to be a full length or a split and some EPs or 7 inches or what's going to happen. Hopefully, it'll be a record. I would love that.
Now, and you're saying that I was seeing a lot of the posts. You're saying you guys were expanding essentially what you guys were doing. What kind of influences were you guys bringing in that was going to be like something that was fresh?
So, I think if you listen to the other stuff that we've done, we always kind of stick to the things that inspired us when we were younger, and it's always kind of 60s through 80s for the most part. The last record, we leaned heavy into sort of our love of like street punk and stuff like that. With this one, we wanted to go more into sort of the stuff even before that got us into rock and roll. So we were listening to a lot of Thin Lizzy and AC/DC and the Sweet and the Knack and a lot of power pop, a lot of like hard rock and roll, and then adding that into, obviously we're still a punk band, but kind of expanding into those directions and trying to go a little more guitar rock.
Now, at one point you guys were just a 3-piece, correct?
Yep. Yeah. For the first record, we were a 3-piece, and then we picked up Johnny before we did the 7-inch.
All right, so he's been around with you guys for a while now.
Yeah, he's been with us for a couple of years.
Got you. Now, is he a songwriter as well?
He hasn't written anything for this band, but he is. He has his own band called the Trash Dogs that he was writing for, kind of more in the Americana sort of vein.
All right, so that's another nice aspect to have. I'm sure down the road you're eventually going to explore just about all of it, because it's usually how it works.
Yeah, I mean, we're already kind of we try and push boundaries a little bit every time, without completely abandoning what we were doing before.
And you were saying this time around, you and Rev, pretty much you were writing the stuff together as opposed to separate and just bringing it to the table?
Yeah, a lot of it. He would either send me riffs and I would write a bass on top of that and then kind of go from there. I did a little bit of lyric writing over some of his stuff, which we've never done before. But a lot of it, we're still writing songs and then just kind of helping each other throwing, a verse at the other one's song, or writing a chorus for the other person's voice, things like that.
That's fun. That shit's fun, man. Especially
Yeah.
if you have that other person, that partner you can trust your song with, and be like, here,
Definitely.
expand this. I trust you to not fuck this up.
Yeah, and it's a byproduct of being on the road a lot. So we know each other so much better now as musicians from being on stage together for so long.
You guys ever fight?
Not really. We haven't really had any fights. Everybody, has shitty days, but it's never been like a blow up or anything.
No, that's good.
You ever rode a roller coaster with Jake before?
Yeah, a couple here and there. He's pretty obsessed.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, even if we don't go in, we have to any town that has an amusement park, he has to either stop and tell us about the history of everything inside of it, or we have to hear about it the whole drive to the next show.
That's really cool.
Between having a juggler in the band and also someone that can tell you about every park.
Yeah.
That's great.
No, I want to say that I really was watching you guys' music videos, and they're all really done really well. Who helped you guys with that?
So all of them except for the first one have been done with Bridge City Sessions.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they're a group out of Portland. They do Bridge City Sessions, their sort of YouTube show where they'll have bands come in, and it's basically a big warehouse where they have everybody sets up and plays live, and they have 3 to 4 cameramen and a studio set up to get live sound, and then they put the videos up on their YouTube. But they've been expanding and doing music videos, and then they did their first online fest this year. So
that's great work. Yeah, sounds and looks really cool. Love the vibes of them. So consistent too as well.
Yeah, they're very talented guys, and they're all in bands, so it's
even better. So they know it, they get it.
I assume that they hook you up as well. They take care of you.
Yeah. They're all buddies of ours. So.
Put out $5,000 to make a video every time you need one.
No, they're very cool. Pretty affordable for us. So
back in the day when River City Rebels were first starting doing videos, like we had a $5,000 budget, and that's what you would get. Then one budget with $10,000, which is fucking stupid now. I'm like,
right,
I could have done this video for like $600 probably.
Right, but that was the thing. Yeah,
just film it on our iPhones and buy a van.
Exactly. That probably would have been a smarter move on our part, but we got glitter and gold out of it, so we're good.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's fantastic. I actually just introduced Johnny to Hate to Be Loved record while we were recording this record. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Cool.
Was Johnny all right with it?
Yeah, he loves that stuff, man. He's a big rock and roll guy.
I mean, that's important, right? Being in a band to embrace like the history of rock and roll and just take everything that's been created under that umbrella and just enjoying it, right?
Definitely. Yeah. And it's the best thing about being in a band with a bunch of guys that all bring different tastes. So it really makes the drives fun. You get to find out about all the stuff we don't know.
Like what are you going to be putting on like the CD player for those guys that they haven't heard? What name 2 artists that you'd be like, here, check this out?
2 artists that I've definitely forced them to listen to a lot of stuff that they may or may not have enjoyed, but I was in like the horror punk thing for a long time. So a lot of that stuff, like if I'm in charge, I'll throw on a lot of that kind of like Nymphind from Vancouver. I love them. Really weird, but amazing band. And then I'll throw on a lot of weird kind of alt country stuff, or I've made them listen to the Beat Farmers quite a bit.
It's a good call on that one.
Yeah, I love that sort of Paisley Underground stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Now, as time goes, where things are getting better with COVID and stuff, do you guys have kind of a game plan for local attack, or are you guys still thinking kind of like Germany, go back, or for this summer anyways, speaking?
We don't really have any plans right now. We're tentatively trying to figure out maybe a tour at the end of the year if we can get it going. Everything's kind of been up in the air. We didn't really know what was going to happen as far as like, I mean, all the booking agents have also been out of work this whole time. And so, you know, nobody really knows what they're doing at this point. So it's hard to, you know, everybody's opening at different times. We don't really know what's going to be available to us. And because everything's been shut down for so long, every venue has a waiting list. Everybody's trying to tour. Everybody's putting out a record. So it's
right. And I was thinking too that I was talking with another person, one of my friends that plays in bands, and he's saying that bands could also get kind of screwed on payouts because at the door you can't get as many people in. So then you're like, all right, I got to pay the sound guy no matter what, and you know I can't have 100 people, I can only have 50. So then you say, okay, well, there goes half that money that we thought we were going to get because the door just is not as much. So I know it's not all about the money, but that's also another thing that's probably going to be hurting bands here in the next year or so.
It's going to make it tough. But I mean, at the same time, I think everyone kind of thinks that once everything opens up, it's going to be kind of a floodgate situation as well, because everyone is just so hungry for it.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's been stuck in their house for 2 years. So.
I guess it's just timing that right, because if you time that too early, it's like it could really, really come back on you, where it's like no one's coming out, you're losing money, and then it's setting your financial position back way further to the point where you could set yourself back another 2 years just trying to get enough revenue so you could save up enough to be able to go back out on the road.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a bad look if you jump the shark on this.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing.
That's another thing too. Yeah. The hope is, though, we were talking a little bit about last time, that kids would be energized once this does go back, that people are going to not take stuff for granted when it go into shows. Like maybe if a show is happening on a Friday night, you might be like, all right, I'm going to go. Like I'm tired from work all week, but I think maybe more of that hopefully is going to happen. You're going to see more of these local shows be like, all right, it's packed just because it's a show happening.
Yeah, that's the hope, man. I mean, I know we all kind of took it for granted, so it's going to be, it'll be an experiment. We'll see what happens.
So with these new recordings that you guys have, are you just going to wait until pretty much the touring stuff becomes available so you have something to promote?
I think we're just kind of waiting to see what happens once it's all mixed and mastered, and see what the label wants to do. I mean, we didn't really get a chance to tour Under Tension, so we want to do that for sure. We only got to do like a quick little West Coast run before everything shut down.
I guess you're right about that, huh?
Yeah. So
I mean, think about that.
And people have been sitting with that record now for a hot minute, so hopefully people will be hyped to hear the stuff.
Yeah, that's I would think, you know, it's even better maybe in some ways, you know, because normally you go out with a new record and people barely know the tunes.
Exactly.
Until that second time around that people start to catch on, and that's when you're sick of playing them anyways.
Oh shit.
Uh-oh.
Might have lost Andy.
We might have lost Andy.
Well, might be coming back. He did give us an oh shit before he went. Maybe he dropped something, which.
Well, hopefully not. We got some comments real quick. Brandon Sharkey's here. He's Brandon. We got Derek's here. What up, Dan? What's up, Derek? You know who that is, Grand Champ?
The one and only Graham Robinson.
Yep, legend. He's saying everyone wants to travel. And you know what Graham Robinson did the other day? He took a little trip walking around.
Oh, where? Over White River Junction? Or?
Oh, he did like a 3-mile hike. He said the worst part about it was there was no bathroom.
3 miles, Graham. Jeez. Well, that's more than I can. Well, I went about that on Tuesday, but.
Back in the day, gamer. Oh, he was talking about a band that he had seen live, you know.
Talking about Detroit.
Yeah. Surfer rock with aliens. Yeah. My buddy Jeff's here. What's up, Jeff? We're just we're hanging out. Andy was with us from the Drowns, but we lost connection. But so far, it's been good, Nick. It was
absolutely. It's really great to have these bands come on and interviews, and we're going to do some more because I mean, right now more than ever, things start to open up. If we can promote some bands that are hopefully going to head out later this year, if all goes right, then that's even better because we can start, pushing some of that onto people when they do come to your town. You're going to be like, I watched Rebel Rock. All right, no.
That's right. And on top of that, he's it's fun, but we're going to get together every week and just talk rock and roll.
Yes.
You're going to talk rock and roll. And it looks like Andy's back. What happened, Andy?
Oh, my battery died on me. Had to rush out and try and grab the cord.
No worries, brother. No worries. We're glad you're back.
Thank you. What did I miss?
Nothing. We were just reading some comments and just talking about how much fun this is to be able to just talk music and hang out. Essentially, maybe there is other channels doing this. I don't know, but I feel like this could be a start of something fun. Just being able to hang out with people and share.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot of cool like podcasts doing this sort of thing, but I'm not seeing a lot of video streams, which is weird. You would think it'd be with everybody doing Zoom calls constantly now that it'd be a thing that was more prevalent.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. More interactive, because obviously podcasts are cool, but the problem is you can't like interact. Right. So if there's a thought or a question or anything like that, you're not going to get it answered. So this kind of setting, I do kind of prefer it. It's just a cool thing. I guess at this point in the show, if anyone in the comments right now, because it looks like we have about 18 people watching, which is solid, which isn't bad. If you guys have any questions for any of us, if you want to talk punk rock, anything, now is the time to do so because we're in the last 8 minutes of the show. So,
yeah. Is there sorry to interrupt. There's a station out in Seattle that records bands. I forgot. Dead Bars was on it. A couple other. What is it called?
Is it KEXP?
Yes.
Yeah. So is that still going on? Are they still trying to do stuff?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I saw a couple live performances on that.
I mean, that's like the big times though. That's like up there as far as like you got to be a real buzz band. I feel like to get into.
There's a punk show. That dude does a punk show, right?
There is one. Yeah. It's called Sonic Reducer. That's actually run by the guy that used to. His name's Brian. He used to run the Funhouse.
Oh, it's the same guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he does that.
Is Easy Street Records still open?
Last time I checked, yeah.
I mean, it's been so long since we've been back to Seattle, but Easy Street on Queen Anne was my favorite spot to hit up.
Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of great
down there. Pixel Gaming Squad.
Oh, well.
Good one.
If you could hang and chill with any musician, alive or dead, who would you pick? Andy, go for it.
Yep.
Oh, that's tough, man. I'd probably go Dave Vanian, honestly. I think he'd be a lot of fun. We got a lot of mutual interests as far as like horror movies and music go. I think that'd be a lot of fun. There's other guys that seem like they would be fun that I'm pretty sure I'd have a terrible time with.
Yeah.
But I feel like he'd be a good dude to hang with. Yeah.
You probably would. Grand Champ, who would you?
I'm going with Strummer. I'm sorry. The Clash is my favorite band. Have to go. Like I said, like I don't know what we talk about. I wouldn't want to be a fanboy, but be hard not to.
And I'd probably go with Mark Boland from T-Rex.
Good call.
I feel like it would be kind of weird, but it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel like he's in that camp of dudes that are like, it would be great for the story's sake, but I just don't know, like Bowie or somebody like that. It'd be like, yeah, it'd be amazing to hang with them, but what would you talk about? Like, I feel like
That's the best part. Maybe there's no connection there at all, but maybe there's like this weird connection.
so cocaine and peppers, huh?
We got a question from Lincoln for Andy. What/who got you into music to begin with?
Well, who would be my brother? He was in bands when I was growing up. He was in a band called Graveyard Shift. It was a psychobilly band, so I got to go with him to shows, got to watch them practice and stuff. So that got me in, and then he fed me punk rock at a very young age. As far as bands, I mean, the Beatles were the first, and then immediately the Ramones took over, and that was my obsession at like 11. And then it was just leapfrogging around to like the Attics and Toy Dolls and that kind of stuff. Yeah, and then I just spun out from there.
It's nice to hear the general kind of Beatles. You know, that's a foundation right there. Like if you have Beatles as a foundation, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, they were such phenomenal songwriters, every single one of them. That it's inarguable. They were incredible, and they progressed rock and roll so far in such a short time.
Yeah. In Pixel Game Squad, I'm assuming this is Riff. Riff is a wonderful channel, wonderful guy. He's a musician as well. He's saying he'd go with Tom from Blink-182.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
I mean,
there was plenty to talk with him. Like the whole conspiracy alien stuff. And you ain't wrong. I bet it would be a wonderful conversation.
I ran into him in San Diego on tour with Success, and it was a little weird. He passed by us. We were outside the Ken Club getting ready to do a show. We had just loaded in. We were all tired. And he walked up and just kind of looked at us. We're like, okay, what's this guy want? And walked past, came back again. I was just like, hey, guys, do you know where the Starbucks is? Kind of giving us this look like, you know who I am. Just ask me who I am. Like, talk to me. We're just like, nah, man, we're from Seattle. We don't know where it is. It was literally like a block down. He lives in San Diego. The dude knows. And
so he just wanted to make a friend, and you were like, you weren't biting. You weren't going to do it.
We were just tired, man. We weren't ready to play games. If he had just been like, hey, I'm Tom, we would have been like, yeah, I know. We're huge fans of your band. But if you're going to big time us and do the like, sup, man? Like, nah. No thanks.
Do you know who I am? Walk by a few times, back and forth.
Yeah, it felt like the hot girl trying to get attention, and it's like, come on, man.
Lincoln's saying he would hang with Henry Rollins.
Hey, I love Rollins era Black Flag. I know Dan doesn't as much, but I love all era Black Flag. But yes, Lincoln.
But I like Henry Rollins, so hanging out with him, he's got stories for days. Yeah. He's a funny dude. So hanging with him would be a good time, as long as he didn't try to like sing to me or anything.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I'd rather hang with Keith, but I would take Rollins for sure.
Another question: do you collect posters of shows you've played, Andy?
I have a few. Jake has all of them. Like if you go into Jake's house, it's like a museum to all of the bands that he's played with in his entire life. But I only keep kind of the big ones. Like I think I have the Rock the Ship one from a couple years ago. That was a huge moment for us. So got that, and I think I have the Japan tour flyer, but not much other than that.
Nick Grandchamp, what about you?
Yeah, so basically I have a bunch at my parents' house where like for my high school bands and stuff, so they're just sitting around. But I kept some of the more important ones. Show with Bane, I have photo for that when we got to like play the same fest as like Bad Religion and Pennywise. So I kept the kind of important ones, I guess.
Yeah, it's the same deal. I have a bunch of like flyers that I've stashed away, but most of the stuff, I mean, poster wise, it's like when we played with I don't know, New York Dolls, when we played with Jesse Malin, I kept that one, have it framed up.
Another Revolver. Yeah, that one.
Oh yeah, Hometown Throwdown with the Bosstones. I saved that one. Silk screen poster. So yeah, there's a few, not a ton, but there's definitely a good handful. Jeff's asking, coolest musician you've met or toured with the Rebels. I mean, Andy, you can answer this question too. Who's the coolest you've met?
We've met some cool ones, man. I mean, the Descendants were really cool. They were really, really nice dudes. Sloppy Seconds were by far like the coolest people I've ever played shows with. They're such nerds, but like in the best way. And I'm actually still really good friends with those guys. I still chat with Bo quite a bit. Yeah, and then I mean, Coxbar. How do you? That's a starstruck moment for sure.
That's pretty sick.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say probably Jimmy G from Murphy's Law might have been one of the nicest guys. We toured with him, and he's just a fucking sweetheart with a sense of humor, and you felt like you knew the guy forever. So him, or
That's
maybe even
nice.
Vinny or Roger from Agnostic Front were the same way. Just sweethearts.
That's pretty awesome. I thought you were going to say Duff.
Duff McKagan was really nice too, but
I've heard that,
certainly
yeah.
wasn't as personable as those other guys.
He does the joke of the week on Chris Jericho's podcast. Duff calls it a joke every. It's pretty funny.
You know who's surprisingly nice was the English Beat. They're such good dudes.
That's pretty awesome.
The singer Dave, is that?
Yeah. Dave Wakeling.
Yep. I've heard good things about him too. He's just a real personable guy. One last question: most overrated band and most people love and you can't stand. For Riff, it would be Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Sure.
I love Chili Peppers still, but you have an answer for this? Most overrated band?
I mean, I think the obvious choice for me is Nirvana, but
Yep.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a really good one.
We were talking about that last episode.
Yeah, being in Seattle, man, you can't fucking avoid it still. And it's, I was over it when it was happening.
I'm happy to hear someone from Seattle actually feels the same way, because we were
So
talking about last
in
episode.
Seattle feel that way.
I know. It's just so funny because I have people who like still live and die by that scene, friends, you know, and I'm just like, you sure? They're like, yep. All right. I'm like, all right. The little grunge thing, you know.
Comments answering that question. Bane. Bane's overrated, sure.
I mean, they're a hardcore band too, you know. I mean, you can only go so far with hardcore. So, I mean, I get it, you know.
U2?
Yeah.
There's some moments.
Yeah.
I mean, I still like the early albums, but yeah, the shit lately.
I could sit through Joshua Tree, sure. But
yeah. What else here? Oh, Riff is saying he agrees with Nirvana as a choice. Yeah. Jeff saying Nirvana, good answer. So it looks like Nirvana was for the win. Cassidy's saying, ever had to crash at some sketchy places on tour to save $1?
I mean, who hasn't?
Every fucking night.
Yep.
Yeah, that is touring.
I remember we stayed in this one place in Cleveland. We walked in. This girl invited us back, and we get there, and there's fucking cat shit everywhere. There's like 20 punks there, and I'm like, guys, fucking head back out. So we walk in and walk right back out and left right away. I'm like, I'd rather sleep on the side of the fucking road. It was that dirty.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, yeah. It's because there's always someone at a show. We played in Toronto one time. That's like, yeah, man, it's cool. Come on over. But they have like 5 or 6 roommates, and it's like, is it cool? Because we're a 5-piece band.
It's never fucking cool.
You have 6 roommates, and you know it's all good, right?
Or where they don't ask their parents. They don't ask their parents,
Sure.
and they're like 17. Like, come on back. You get there, and the parents are like, who the fuck are these guys?
You're like, yep.
Yeah, the fun one is always like the didn't ask the parents, and then you find out after you get there that they invited all the bands, so everyone's trying to share the same floor, like that kind of thing. come
I've
on.
never had that. We were like a one type of band. Like no other bands are going to that place, or we're not going.
Sure. It's a good rule to have. Yeah.
Britt saying she agrees with Nirvana as a choice.
Yeah, I
Richard
felt really
Brian
bad. Sure.
Richard Brian Kahn saying that Bleach was amazing though, and I can't agree with that.
I just can't do it, man. I can't. Once I heard how little that guy cared about his lyrics too, as a lyricist, that bums me out when I hear that kind of stuff. Same thing with like Rivers Cuomo, the whole like having a spreadsheet of lyrics thing. Like,
Oh, they started out so good too. Those first
I
two records
know.
are so much
yeah,
fun.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still love Blue, but I just can't respect the guy.
Yeah, no, that might be one of those bands now, as far as overrated.
Yeah.
I mean, after that long of doing it, they're just like fucking whatever. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I guess you get to that point where how can you not just be whatever? But then again, I see other bands like The Descendants still doing it, and they're so I don't know. You know, at first you understand, but then you're like, well, there's still other bands still doing it pretty hard. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's plenty of bands that have been doing it forever that are still killing it.
It's true.
It's no excuse.
It's very true.
Yeah,
Although it's usually the ones that don't make the money that are still killing it. The ones
I
that
think
get paid.
that is the problem. Yeah, once you get the money, and then all of a sudden it kind of changes the output. You want to create more money, and the songs you can tell are made just for that.
We got Jeffrey talking some mad.
Oh wow, he's saying Kiss.
That point.
No, it's not a joke.
I love
Jeffrey
it.
coming down, dropping the blade here, Jeffrey.
Original lineup is great, man.
Those like first until 1977, 78. You know, those first four records, priceless.
Yeah, you can't fuck with Strutter. Come on.
No, you can't. I'm trying to get Grand Champ to understand the greatness of Kiss.
Love Gun. I got that far. That's all I got.
Love Gun.
Not bad.
Yeah, I mean,
damn.
Good shit in there.
At this point, jeez.
Oh, come on, John. You're saying Paul Stanley can't sing for shit anymore? You don't mean that.
You don't mean it.
He's better than Gene, and you know it.
He is much better than Gene. That's for certain.
Point.
So if we got like 3 more minutes, if anyone wants to ask any other questions, feel free. We got Andy from the Drowns here, bass player extraordinaire. Hey, don't downplay it.
Bass player capable.
But you can also sing, so that makes you that much better.
It's a different skill, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, John's saying that Paul Stanley lip syncs. I mean, maybe. Does it well. Dan, are there any videos from the Hartford Rumbles, which was a shows I used to set up pretty much when I was in high school and just getting out of high school, and I booked bands like Plan a Project and Big D and the Kids Table. No, I don't think there's any video evidence from any of those shows, unfortunately, which is a real shame. Yeah, just wasn't thinking. Most people didn't film anything.
That was a long time ago.
That would have been like 90, 98, 97, 98. So
and most punks didn't have VHS cameras even back then, you know? Like, we're talking, they were still expensive. They were still kind of for rich kids. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Wasn't until Tight White's here.
Oh, fucking Tight White's here. That's great. He's a rapper, Andy. You don't even need to acknowledge this fucking guy.
Okay.
He's in Houston. You'll probably never see him. It's no big deal.
We'll see. We haven't hit Texas yet.
Well, if you see Tight White, you go the other way, all right?
Good to know.
Britt's asking what is your favorite city to play other than your hometown, Andy?
I would say either San Diego or Chicago. Both of those have been really good to us. Always a blast. Good food, good people, good music.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Grand Champ?
Dude, I mean, I would have to say I love going to Boston. That's always been fun. I mean, I also have a lot of friends there because it's like the closest, biggest city. The times I played Booza Fest in Montreal has been fun too. I mean, but that's like a festival that the whole town's doing. So, yeah, city.
I'm gonna say probably New York City is always a blast, and Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, which is pretty much our second hometown. You would think that we're from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania,
Yeah,
but the love that's given in that town.
Nice.
Just a wonderful place to play and good people.
Killer.
Oh, Mr. Tight White's saying, telling RBK that they're hating on him. Yeah, we can't trust you around here. You don't.
I trust you, Tight White. I trust Tight White a little bit.
Tight White don't even listen to rock and roll. You don't listen to rock and roll.
Wait a minute. Is this true? Tight White? A little bit?
That's true.
Not even Nirvana? You guys ever played Compton?
We dropped off our bass player in Compton to take a bus back home. Does that count?
City of Compton.
That's something.
No, they don't want us. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't.
We've never been asked. So.
No. Well, I think this is gonna wrap it up, guys. We've been hanging out for 72 minutes now, so
a lot of fun.
And Chris J.
Oh, Chris J.
Chris J. It was Compton, correct? That we dropped you off in. We'll get Chris's answer, and then we're gonna sign off here.
Cool.
But Andy, hang out after we sign off so we can say goodbye to you.
Sure.
Waiting for Chris J to answer. Where did we drop you off, Chris J?
No mention Taylor Swift.
Nirvana is underrated. Yeah, thanks, John, for no Taylor Swift. Andy, do you like Taylor Swift?
No, I got nothing on that.
All right, thank you. I think we're in the same boat. I got nothing.
No, it's just not for me, man. It's not my demo.
All right, so Chris J, former bass player for the River City Rebels, says, "Yep, I rode a bus from Compton to Vermont."
It's a long drive.
Whew.
I want to say that was like I think it took Chris like 3 days, maybe longer.
That's brave, man.
But he's probably the only person that can say he went from Compton to Vermont on a Greyhound. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's it.
I don't know if you can get much drastically different between those.
No. Well, we miss you, Chris J. We got to hang out soon.
Yeah, Chris, miss you, man.
So yeah, we're all done this week.
80 hours.
Next week, we're going to be celebrating the 20th anniversary of River City Rebels Playing to Live, Living to Play.
Awesome.
20th anniversary. We're bringing on Dan McCool, who was the singer at the time for the band, next week to hang out and talk memories about that, because my memory's not that great anymore because I drank way too much.
That'll happen.
I'm hoping that he didn't drink as much, so he still has some memories.
Right on.
So stick around for that. Chris J says 80 hours of bus riding.
That's crazy. That's a long time.
Oof.
All right, guys. So we're signing off. Make sure to check out the Drowns. They have 2 albums up on YouTube that you can find, a bunch of music videos, really great street punk, one of the best bands going right now. So please check them out, Bandcamp, support them, do all that good stuff.
Thank you so much, man. Thanks for having me on. This was a blast.
Yeah, thank you.